What is up, everybody? It's Kelpsy, and today I'm bringing you my necromancer healer. Now, I'm going to come out of the gate and say it's a necromancer healer. It isn't on the level of healing that a warden can do because they got them big old buffs. But if you follow the channel, or if you've watched the stream, or if you play with me personally, you know that I call the necromancer the spooky warden, and that's because we don't have big old buffs, but we have big old debuffs. And this build is all around having a healer that you can go do pug groups with, and I use this guy nonstop to do things like random veteran dailies or doing my undaunted dailies when no one's on, so I can just run them with a random group. And the whole preface of this build is to fill all of the niches we can so that we're not missing out on anything when we have a group that's very monocultured, like it's common to run in and you just have 3 Arcanists. So when you have 3 Arcanists, Arcanist does fine, but they don't put a lot of debuffs on the boss, and this is what's going to do that. Let's get into it. Let's check it out. First things first, I'm an Imperial. Imperial is not needed. Any class that does any sort of magic increase or skill reduction for magic skills. So a Breton would work fine, a High Elf would work fine, a Dark Elf would work fine. We are healing, but I like the Imperial because it reduces our skill cost, and we're going to spam the shit out of some heals, so that helps out a lot, and it gives us that toughness so that we can stay up a little bit longer. I have everything in Magicka. I am running the Ritual Stone, and I am using Bewitched Sugar Skulls just because they're cheap as shit, and I want the stats up. And I don't really want a lot of magic regeneration, and we will get into that later. So, that's what we're running there. For our skills, for our front bar, I am running Radiating Regeneration. Everyone knows this one. Quick pop, 13k over 10 seconds. Good heal. I'm running Combat Prayer. It gives whoever it hits Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve a quick 8800 up front. Bang, easy heal. Healing Springs. This heals them for almost 17,000 over 10 seconds, and you get magic recovery by 15 for each target affected. So in trials, this is going to be a lot more. In dungeons, it's going to be a lot less, but it does give you health recovery, well, magic recovery, which is nice. Even though we don't need a lot of it, it's still going to help because we're going to spam some spells. Spirit Guardian. This is a passive heal. He just floats around healing you and your homeboys, and it takes 10% of the damage we're supposed to take. So makes this a little beefier, helps survivability. I like it. And Braided Tether. Now I'm using Braided Tether up front because of the fact that this, while slotted, it makes this heal for 3% more. And it doesn't say either bar, so we've got it on this bar. And it heals for 19,854 over 12 seconds to us and everyone around you and everyone between us and the corpse. So in a trial or in a dungeon, as long as DPS sees this huge spooky cloud near you, they can just stand in it. It's going to passively heal them. And if you aim it right, you can also have it heal a tank. I like it. Not everyone's going to. It's a flex spot. You can use something like Force Siphon here. You can use like Summoner's Armor. You can use anything you want here, but I like Braided Tether. And for this, I'm keeping slotted Renewing Animation because, like I said, this is for a pug group build for me. So pug groups die. That's what they do. And if you can avoid death and use this, tank goes down, get them right back up. That's what I like. If you're running with a group and you just want to run a necromancer healer and these are your friends and you know they're not going to die or you don't think they will, then I would run the Warhorn. I'd run Warhorn in case. Now Warhorn is what I'd usually run here, but we actually don't want to use this ultimate that much, so that's why I have that slotted here, because it's just for emergencies. Now for our back bar, I am running Empowering Grasp. This applies Minor Maim. This gives our DPS some more damage they can do. It enhances the damage and healing of your summons by 1,000, so that's nice. So our little spooky ghost will help out. It's going to keep everyone immobilized. So enemies in the first area are snared by 30% for 5 seconds, immobilized in the second area for 4 seconds, and stunned in the final area for 3 seconds. So if you get good at targeting this, you can just throw it at the tank. It lands and completely stuns things for 3 seconds there, and then either slows or stops things in between you. It is a nice little just quick cast. I like it because it makes our little ghost do more healing, and it snares things. And again, this is all about filling the niche of other people so they don't have to do as much work, and that's why I'm using Empowering Grasp. Now again, it's a flex spot. It's not totally needed, but I like this one here. Now 2, I'm using Renewing Undeath. So I like this because if I cast it on a corpse, it will remove up to 3 negative effects and continue to heal us and our allies for 8,400 over 5 seconds, and it heals anyone there by about 7,800 off rip. So it's a good sized heal, plus a good sized later heal, and it removes negative effects. And since we have the next skill, our Blighted Blast Bones, since we have this slotted, we can designate that we always will have a corpse. You just huck this little guy at the boss or the mob, and there will be a corpse for you to activate one of your other abilities onto. And that is what I want to stress about this build, is throw Blast Bones if there's no corpse, so that you have a corpse to cast on, so that you know that you can get all the bonuses for something like this, or you can use your tether. It just helps out a lot. Now, Unnerving Boneyard, again, we all know Update 43 is around the corner, and when this comes, this will actually do Major and Minor Breach. So, this is getting a buff. It's going to be very nice. So, this does Major Breach on the enemies. It can, if you use a corpse, Blast Bones, it will then do 30% more damage, and it deals 5,700 frost damage in the area. So you're going to help a little with DPS, and it's also going to give Major Breach, which is the thing that we're after. Now also remember, Blast Bones is going to add Major Defile. So we're already putting 2 debuffs on the boss with those, and then Minor Maim to enemies, so that's another one. Empower to our allies. Like, we're putting down some buffs and debuffs. Now, Agony Totem is another not totally needed one, and it's going to get changed with the patch. So, Unnerving Boneyard is going to be the only one required after Update 43. But for now, Agony Totem gives us minor protection, so you'll want to cast this near the tank. It fears everything near it to get another stun going if this didn't stun them already. And if an ally activates it, it does damage and applies minor vulnerability to them, increasing their damage taken by 5%. Now, we are going to stack that with the ultimate that we typically will be using, which is Glacial Colossus, which is going to apply major vulnerability to the enemy for 17 seconds, increasing that damage taken by 10%. So, adding that and that, they're going to be taking 15% more damage, and they're going to be having Major Breach attached to them, along with Defile. So we are just going to be stacking things up to allow for our DPS to do the most amount of damage, along with making every little bit tankier and just putting down dirt nasty heals the whole time. So those are the skills. For our champion points, we're going to be running Rejuvenator, Swift Renewal, Soothing Tide, and Focus Mending. Very straightforward. Everything is for healing. For our reds, I'm running Spirit Mastery for those one person pickups, Rejuvenation, of course, Balanced Vitality, and Celerity. Celerity is just because I like to keep up with DPS. We always have that one Khajiit meta build that's just going to be hoofing it the whole time. Now, on to the sets. For our sets, the monster set isn't set in stone. It all depends on what you guys want or what you have going on. But since I said I use this for my pug groups, I ran Ozazan's set because of the fact that overhealing yourself or an ally grants them 4,200 armor for 1.1 seconds. And healing yourself and an ally grants them minor vitality for 1.1 seconds, increasing their healing received and damage shield strength by 6%. So this is just going to make it so that when we heal our teammates, and we're going to have so many heal over times going, you're always going to be overhealing them. So don't worry about that at all. But this is just going to give them some tankiness, and it's going to let us be able to heal them for even more. And, damage shields are nice for the tank, for sorcerers, for other things like that. There's a lot of vet dungeons where people have to make sure that they don't go down, and this just makes it much simpler. And this is up a dominant amount of the time because of how many heals over time we have. Now, if you don't want that, or if you think that that's not your style, you're not going to keep it on, you're just going to use emergency heals, or you just don't like it, Symphony of Blades is another phenomenal set that you can run. Night Flame, another phenomenal set you can run. Like, there's plenty of healing monster sets you can use. This isn't like a make or break of the build, but it is one that I personally do enjoy a lot. Now, for our Mythic, I am running the Pearls. So the Pearls, when you attempt to use resources to cast a healing ability while in combat and your dominant resources are 50%, gain 3 ultimate. Now, this makes it so our Colossus is up so fucking fast. And I'm talking like fast. I'm going to attach how fast we can get it up with a dummy in front of us. We're not going to use a heroism pot. We're not going to do anything like that. I do have specific heroism pots for a build like this. I will tell you guys what the recipe is. But for right now, we're not using heroism pots, and I'm going to show you how fast we get our ultimate. It is crazy fast. And the reason that's good is because it's going to keep that major vulnerability up, and we are running Pillagers. And with Pillagers, it gives us this minor Aegis that reduces our damage taken from dungeon trial monsters. It increases our healing done, gives us some magic, and casting an ultimate ability while in combat grants 5% of the ultimate spent, up to 20, as ultimate to up to 11 members of the group within 12 meters away every 2 seconds over 10 seconds. That is wordy. I'm not going to lie. But to break that down, if you get a full 500, which we're going to cast it more often than that, but we're going to go for the simplicity of the math. If you get a full 500 ultimate, that gives them 20 ultimate every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. So it's going to give them 100 ultimate. If you have Nightblades on your team, that's in-cap strike. If they're even halfway to their ultimate, if DPS is light attack weaving, and then you add another 100 ultimate over 10 seconds, and we can do this every 45 seconds, you're going to tremendously increase how often ultimates are being casted. And you'll be able to see it the first dungeon you run this with your friends or with randoms. Ask them, like, hey, let me know if you can see how fast your ultimate's going up, and a typical DPS will be elated. Now we're running that along with a Druid's heavy with health chest. It could be now this could be Divines with magic. I'm running heavy reinforced with health because my heals are good enough. And again, I typically use this guy for pug groups, so you want to be a little beefier because pugs always let you down at least a little. So it's better to plan. And I'm running Spell Power Cure. Now, Spell Power Cure, we're running this because when you overheal yourself or an ally, it grants them major courage, which increases their weapon and spell damage by 430. So, with us overhealing, we are giving them, thanks to our monster set, we're giving them 4,200 armor, we're increasing their healing received and damage shield strength by 6%, and we're giving them 430 weapon and spell damage. And we are going to be overhealing them nonstop. So, we are buffing the shit out of our allies while we're debuffing the shit out of our enemies. And that's just how we roll. Now, as I had said before, since we're running the Pearls and a Druid's Chest, that means our set is only one set is available at once. So it's either going to be Pillagers or it's going to be Spell Power Cure. It's one of the two. Now, on Pillagers, I'm running a shock damage enchant. I'm running a lightning staff. And on my Spell Power Cure, I am running a healing staff because this one is procced, of course, by overhealing. And this one is procced by our ultimate. So, you want to ensure that the ultimate you're going to keep casting, which for me and what I recommend is going to be the Colossus. Make sure that is on this bar and it makes a real fun noise. It's like a whoosh when you use it. That won't just be the colossal banging. It'll be like a real loud whoosh that lets you know that you just gave ultimate to your whole team. Now, Spell Power Cure, I am running the Spell Power Cure rings, and I'm running the staff and the legs along with Pillager, and then staff. I am running charge on the staff. I'm running divines on all the set pieces I can get divines on. Again, you don't have to be perfect on traits. If you're doing a progression healer and you need it to be absolutely perfect and throw up big numbers, the necromancer is not going to put that. You're going to be an off healer at best to utilize your colossus and your mass res. But for a main healer on a trial, you're not going to put up those huge of numbers. It's a lot better to run. It's a lot easier to run a Templar or a Warden and put up big boy heal numbers. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about traits that much. It's more so the case of getting the pearls, pillagers, spell power cure. Just the sets. Like I said, the monster set isn't make or break to the set. You can run Symphony of Blades, Bogan's Knife Flame. You could run Stranglethorn if you wanted to. It's not gonna make or break anything. I just really like Ozan's. I think it's fun, and I personally see a big buff of people not dying when I run it compared to running Symphony of Blades. 3, 2. All right, you guys. Let me show you how easy it is to get your ultimate, so we can just spam this ultimate to keep filling our DPS's ultimates so that they can keep spamming theirs. Now, we're starting at 0, and the whole thing is we have to get our magic below 50% and be in combat, so I have to keep DPS on this dummy a little bit. I'm going to use Unnerving Graveyard to do that. And now you have to spam skills to get our magic below what we need it to be. Now it's below 50%, so now every time I cast a healing spell, we get 3 ultimate. Now, of course, you don't want to run your magic to 0. That's not the best case scenario. But you do want to keep it below 50% so you can utilize the pearls. We just hit 50% there. And mind you, all of the heals that we're laying down here are very large heals. They can heal your team absolutely no problem. We already at 220. We cast it. Now we're giving 5% of that to everyone on the team every 2 seconds. And now we have 45 seconds to get our ultimate back. And we're already up to almost 100. And, you know, this is if you're just trying to spam the ultimate or, like, fill everybody's up. But, like, if you have a good tank and he's holding the boss, you don't have to get permanent heals. You lay down AoE, make sure everyone's healed, and then you just run it, and now we're already back to having our ultimate. So, yeah, this build takes a second to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's really simple to do. It's just like all those damage sets that require you to stay under a certain amount of your resource. So yeah, it's fun to get used to and try it out. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the channel.